Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. It's something that I think is going to be a game changer for a lot of you who work in international business.
Oh, definitely.
We're not talking about market trends. We're looking under the hood at the engine of business English itself.
And it's a fascinating area because it's the part of the language people so often overlook. They focus on these, big, impressive words.
Synergies, paradigm shifts.
Exactly. But they miss the actual nuts and bolts holding the conversation together.
We are talking about phrasal verbs. And the source material we're digging into today is this really great breakdown of 19 essential ones for business. But the point it makes isn't just learn these words. It makes a much bolder claim.
It does. The core argument is that mastering these is the shortcut to sounding, well, great. Not just okay. Not just understandable.
But natural. Authoritative, even.
Right. It's the difference between sounding like you're reading from a textbook and sounding like a colleague who belongs in the room.
I mean, if you walk into a meeting and say, I must postpone the launch because an unexpected event has occurred.
You sound so stiff.
Like a robot.
Or a lawyer from 100 years ago. But if you walk in and just say, something came up, so we had to put the launch back.
Suddenly you're speaking the real language of the office. You're removing that friction from the communication.
And that's what we want to do today. Remove the friction.
Okay, so before we jump in, let's do a quick mechanics check. For anyone who might have forgotten their grammar classes, what exactly are we dealing with?
At its simplest, a phrasal verb is just a normal verb combined with a particle. And that particle is usually a preposition words like up, on, out, off.
And the tricky part is that the particle changes the meaning. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot, right?
That's the magic and the frustration of it. Sometimes it's just a tiny nuance. The source uses print versus print out.
Okay.
If I say I printed the report or I printed out the report, the action is basically the same. The out just adds this sense of completion, of physical finality.
But then you have the other end of the spectrum.
Exactly. Take a verb, like if I take an apple, I'm just grabbing it. But if I take on a project,
You're accepting responsibility. A psychological burden almost.
the meaning has shifted completely from physical to abstract.
And the source mentions there are some hidden patterns too. It's not totally random.
There is some logic to the madness. For example, the particle up often suggests an increase or an improvement.
Prices go up.
You clean up, you cheer up. It's directional. So when you see a phrasal verb with up, your brain can sort of prep for something getting bigger or better.
That is a helpful cheat sheet.
Okay.
Let's put these into practice. We're going to live through a very stressful Tuesday in the corporate world.
A day in the life.
Precisely. We've got 4 segments. We'll start with the daily grind, then crisis mode, because there's always a crisis,
Always.
then money and strategy, and finally the one that confuses everyone, time management.
Sounds like a heavy schedule.
It is. So, segment 1, the daily grind. Picture the scene. It's 9 a.m., you've got your coffee, you look at your inbox, and you see that image from the source, the worker with their head in their hands.
The universal sign of, I've made a terrible mistake.
Right. And that feeling usually starts with our first phrasal verb, take on.
Take on. This is the root of the whole workload problem. To take on work means you agree to do it. The example from the source is, I think I've taken on too much work.
It's interesting because taking on something can sound heroic, I'll take on the challenge. But in the office, it's usually about capacity.
It's about volume. You're not just doing the task, you've accepted the weight of it, you've put it in your backpack, and if you take on too much.
The backpack gets too heavy. So you've taken it on, now you have to actually do it. And the verb here is carry out.
Carry out. This one feels a bit more formal, doesn't it?
It does. You wouldn't say, I'm going to carry out a trip to the coffee shop.
No. You carry out a plan, an order. The source links this to very structured tasks. Research, surveys, experiments.
So they carried out a survey to find out which travel destinations were most popular.
Exactly. It implies a process, a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's execution. You took it on, now you're carrying it out.
But this is where the stress starts. The emails are flooding in. And you're struggling to keep up.
Keep up. This is a velocity problem, right? The work is moving faster than you are.
I always picture that old comedy sketch with the chocolates on the conveyor belt.
That is the perfect visualization. The conveyor belt is moving and you're just scrambling to keep pace. The source gives a very relatable example. I'm finding it hard to keep up now that there are only 3 people in the office.
And what happens when you slip? When the conveyor belt moves too fast, you enter the next state. being behind.
To be behind. This isn't really an action verb, it's more a state of existence.
A painful one. It means you have a backlog. Urgent work that should have been done yesterday.
And the source makes a really good point about the personal cost. The example is, I'm really behind at work, so I won't be able to go to the party on Saturday.
Oof. That brings it home. Being behind isn't just about a spreadsheet. It's about missing your life.
It bleeds into your personal time, and that leads directly to the solution. If you're behind, you have to catch up.
Catch up. The recovery action.
It's about closing that gap. I need to catch up at the weekend. You're doing the work you should have done earlier just to get back to neutral.
It's interesting how those three, keep up, get behind, catch up, form a perfect little narrative of work stress.
They do. The cycle of the modern employee.
Now, in the middle of all this catching up, there's usually an annoyance. Other people. You're waiting for them to do something, so you have to chase up.
Chase up. I love this one because it sounds so active, like a pursuit.
It does, but does it sound rude? I always feel a little bit like a pest when I'm chasing things up.
You have to reframe it. The source mentions chasing up clients with unpaid bills.
Okay, that's not being a pest, that's survival.
Right. If you don't chase up the invoice, the business fails. It's about applying gentle pressure. It implies things have stalled, and you need to inject some energy to get it moving again.
And finally, for this segment, we have the humble printout.
We did touch on this one. I printed out a copy of the report.
In a digital world, why do we still need it?
Because the physical world still matters. Printing out signals a shift in attention. It means we're going to sit down, maybe with a pen, and really read this thing properly.
Okay, so that's our morning. We took on too much. We carried out some research, couldn't keep up, fell behind, spent the weekend catching up, chased some people, and printed out the results.
A productive, if exhausting, timeline.
But nothing goes that smoothly. Segment 2, crisis and resolution. You walk into the meeting with your report, and then something comes up.
Ah, the vague menace of something coming up.
It's the ultimate excuse, isn't it? I'm sorry, something has come up.
It is. It means a problem has just appeared. Unexpectedly. You didn't plan for it. It just popped into existence.
And notice there's no agency. You didn't cause it. It just came up.
Right. It absolves you of blame. Don't look at me. The problem just materialized.
And because this thing came up, what happens to your meeting? You have to call it off.
Call off. This is a strong one. It doesn't mean postpone. It means cancel.
The source links them directly. We had to call off the appointment because something urgent came up.
Call off has a sort of military feel to me. You call off the attack. You call off the search.
It does. It sounds more dramatic than just clicking delete on a calendar invite.
It implies the plan was already in motion.
Yeah.
The train had left the station, and you had to hit the emergency brakes.
So the meeting is off. The problem is real. We need to sort out the mess.
Sort out. If you work with British colleagues, you will hear this 10 times a day.
It's the Swiss Army knife of business verbs.
It really is. It means to fix, to resolve, to organize, but it implies complexity. You sort out a misunderstanding or a logistical nightmare.
The example in the source is pretty high stakes. They had to recall their electric scooters to sort out the exploding battery problems.
See, exploding batteries, you don't just fix that. You have to investigate, engineer, test, replace. You have to untangle the mess. Sorting out is restoring order to chaos.
Yeah, let's say you do it. You fix the batteries, you've done something impressive, you've pulled it off.
Pull off, or sometimes bring off. This is the victory lap verb.
But there's a condition, right? You can't just use it for anything.
No, you didn't pull off making a cup of coffee.
Unless the kitchen was on fire.
Right. Pull off requires the possibility of failure. That's the key. If it wasn't hard, you didn't pull it off, you just did it.
So if someone asks, do you think they can pull off the merger? They're implying it's risky.
Exactly. It's the underdog story. Struggle and eventual success against the odds.
And once you've pulled it off, you need to tell your customers what happened. But you can't just give them technical data. You need to spell out the solution.
Spell out. This is about extreme clarity. High-definition communication.
And the source has a specific warning here about sales and marketing, which I thought was really insightful.
Yes, this is a great tip. It says, don't just spell out the features, spell out the benefits.
What's the distinction?
Well, don't just say, the scooter has a new battery, that's a feature. You need to spell out that this means you can ride for 40 miles without charging.
So spelling it out means connecting the dots for the listener.
Precisely. Like spelling a word letter by letter. You leave zero room for misunderstanding.
Okay, we've navigated the crisis. Now, let's get to the motivation behind all this. Segment 3, money, power, and strategy.
This is where the language gets a little sharper, a little more ruthless, maybe.
And we start with a pair of verbs that trips a lot of people up because they sound almost identical. Cash in versus cash in on.
This is a classic trap. Cash in is usually pretty neutral and literal. You're exchanging something for money.
Like bonds or shares.
Right. I want to cash in my bonds. I give you the paper, you give me the money. Simple transaction.
But cash in on, that feels different.
That's opportunistic.
The example is about vegetarianism.
Yes. The supermarket cashed in on the popularity of vegetarianism by launching a new range of burgers.
It sounds a little cynical.
It can be. It implies you're watching a trend wave and you decide to ride it for profit. You're not necessarily doing it for love of veggies. You're doing it because that's where the money is.
So it's about exploiting a situation.
Or seizing an opportunity. It depends on the context. But it's about leveraging a trend.
Speaking of leveraging, let's talk about swallowing up.
That's a vivid, almost violent image.
It is. To consume completely. The source gives two contexts. The first is about resources.
This project is swallowing up all my time. We've all felt that. It's like a black hole for your hours and energy.
But the other context is about mergers and acquisitions.
The big fish eating the little fish. The renewable energy company was swallowed up by the oil giant.
And it doesn't say acquired, it says swallowed up.
That implies the small company is gone, digested. It's not a partnership. It's total absorption. You know, the culture of that smaller company is probably going to disappear.
And when those big shifts happen, usually someone at the top has to leave. They have to step down.
Step down, the polite euphemism for quit, or more likely, got fired.
The source is pretty explicit here. It mentions a scandal.
It does. After reports of illegal payments were exposed, she had to step down.
So she didn't just decide to retire, she was pushed.
Exactly. But step down preserves a bit of dignity. Resigning under pressure sounds like you lost. Stepping down sounds like a noble choice, even if we all know you were forced out.
It's all about optics. It's PR language.
Completely. Catching in on, swallowing up, stepping down. This is the language of power moves.
Okay, we're heading into the final stretch. Segment 4, the time trap. And the source puts a big warning label on this section.
And for good reason. This is where native speakers confuse each other.
We are talking about bring forward and put back.
It seems so simple, but it really messes with how we visualize time.
So let's get this absolutely clear. We have a meeting for 3:00 p.m. on Friday. I call you and say, hey, I need to bring the meeting forward. What is it now?
It's at 1:00 p.m. or 2:00 p.m. It's earlier.
Okay, bring forward means bring closer to the present moment.
Yes. Imagine you're standing on a timeline. The future is a road in front of you. If you bring something forward, you're pulling it towards you.
Got it. Now, scenario 2. I say, I need to put the meeting back.
Then it's later, 5:00 p.m. Or maybe next week. You're pushing it away from you, further down the road into the future.
The source mentions a strike causing a delivery date to be put back from April 5th to April 10th.
Right. The delay pushes it into the distance.
So why is this so hard for people?
Because some people visualize time differently. They see themselves moving through time, so for them, forward feels like further into the future.
Which is a complete disaster if you're trying to schedule a meeting.
Oh, it's a minefield.
So what's the fix? The source has a golden rule.
The rule is be specific. Always. Never just use the phrasal verb on its own. Don't just say, let's bring it forward. Let's bring it forward to 2:00 p.m. Anchor it with a number.
Always.
If you say, let's put it back to Friday, there's no confusion. The preposition does the work, but the specific time guarantees safety.
That is a career saver right there.
It really is. I've seen people show up 2 hours early or 2 hours late because of this exact mistake.
So we've survived the daily grind, navigated the crises, played the power games, and managed our calendar.
We've covered a lot of ground.
As we wrap up, there's one last phrasal verb in the source that I think is the perfect capstone for this entire deep dive. Catch on to.
Catch on to. It means to finally understand, to realize what's happening.
A light bulb moment.
The example is great. If small businesses fail to catch on to the importance of social media, they will fail.
It implies the knowledge was out there floating around and you finally grabbed it. You caught on to it.
And the hope is that our listeners have caught on to the power of these verbs today.
That's the big takeaway, isn't it? We aren't just swapping words. There's an energy shift.
There is. Just listen to the difference. I resolved the problem is so flat. I sorted it out is active. We succeeded is boring.
We pulled it off is a story.
Exactly. Business English often tries to be so sterile, using these Latin-based words like postpone, cancel, resign. They feel safe and clean.
But these phrasal verbs, they have texture. They're physical. To call off implies a voice shouting, stop. To swallow up implies a mouth eating.
To chase up implies you're running after something. When you use these, you're tapping into a more primal, energetic layer of the language. You sound more human.
And in business, being human is a competitive advantage. People trust humans, not robots.
Right.
So here's your homework, listeners. In your next email or your next call, try to swap one of those Latin words for a phrasal verb. Don't cancel, call it off. Don't investigate. Try to sort it out. Just see if it changes the temperature of the conversation.
Just remember to be careful with bring forward and put back.
Yes, spell that one out explicitly.
Please do.
Thanks for diving in with us today. Hopefully you've caught on to a few new tricks. We'll see you next time.